Weekend Grill, episode number 3. Paul Sebastiani, Adrian Deha. We're up for a triple treat now. A third one. I didn't think we'd get this far.
All good things come in 3, don't they?
They do. How are you, mate?
I'm good. Yourself? How's
Good. I'm poor this week. I'm $1 billion down.
Oh, yeah? I was about to say that
down.
briefcase you bought down there seems awfully small for $1 billion.
The polystyrene cup's going to get a workout at Flinders Street, I reckon, man. I need some coins.
You're going to start busking?
Very good call.
Might see Took Miller's dad there.
Yeah.
He goes all right, apparently. So I've been told.
Might join alongside him.
Yeah.
Good call with the Tigers. Well done. With the pies, sorry. Yeah.
Hot pies, mate. The premiership's on.
Yeah.
It actually is on, which terrifies me, but it is on.
I think it terrifies Australia,
Yeah.
to be honest. We've got a big show we're going to get through. The Dissent rule, that's reared its ugly head last week and into this week. Bit of news on the injury front, not just from an individual point of view with injury announcements, but the way that they're announced.
Yeah, very, very passionate
That's
about
a contentious topic for a lot on the social, so that's an intriguing one. All the big teams that we need to get through as well, the Saints, the Cats, are they cooked? Brisbane Lions, hot and cold. Touch on the Ds a little bit. I've got a bit to say about them as well.
Look forward to that.
And
I
a round
rate the
4
Ds.
preview too, so big show coming up. Shall we start with the Dissent rule?
Yeah. You wanna
Because
go?
that's the topic of discussion around AFL circles. Now, the AFL released a statement,
Sure.
which was very, very wishy-washy, to say the least, I would say.
There wasn't much conviction in it, was there?
No, another grey statement. And interesting that Sam Doherty
Yep.
had a presser at the Royal Children's Hospital, and he actually embraced it. He goes, I actually like the grey area of the game.
Okay,
I just think it's part of it, and we've just got to accept it, which I understand. Now, I think this Dissent rule I think it's just become ridiculous now, in my opinion, right? I understand that you've got to protect umpires and all that, but I go back to the way, and I'm very, very passionate about this, is that respect isn't just a God-given right. Right? To a certain extent, obviously, we're all human, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to that on a sporting field, you've kind of got to earn it, even if you're an umpire.
Yeah.
I love the way soccer do it. Now, everyone says, soccer's it's a prima donna sport. It's this, that. Have you seen what the players do to the referees in soccer?
No.
World game?
I have, but I can't think of it on the top of my head.
Yeah, but like grabbing refs,
Yeah.
talking to
Touching
refs,
them,
and the refs are like, guys, ease up.
Aspetta.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wait.
Relax.
Exactly. Like, ease up, have a warning, I'll have a word with you, do it again, you're off.
Yep.
That's what I don't like. What happened with Stephen Cornelio on the weekend is ridiculous, right? And there's a great argument. Like, he's put his arms out like that and said, why is that a free kick? So what if he had his arms in here and did it?
Or hands behind his back.
Or hands behind his back, or went like that? Because we know he's a proud Italian, obviously. What if he went like that? Is that acceptable? Is that acceptable? Is that acceptable?
What is?
How far? Do we need a measurement? To me, it's just it's getting ridiculous
It's
now.
so true.
But now it's just getting ridiculous because, all right, well, what language are you allowed to use to an umpire? I think as a society and as a sporting community, I think we kind of understand where the line is.
Yeah.
But the problem
Well,
is
I don't think we do.
it's still subjective.
Yeah.
Each umpire is different, So I think
Which was actually shown on the weekend when there were multiple examples and
100%.
One was paid and one wasn't. I'll
Exactly.
touch on the consistency, but yeah.
For mine, I think the way it needs to go is if there is a point where dissent occurs initially with 1 or 2 players, stop play, captain's in, like they do in all sports.
Yeah.
I know there might be a stoppage on play for a minute or 2. Call the captain and say, mate, 1 or 2 of your players keep lipping off. If you keep going, it's a free kick and a 50.
I haven't heard that sort of idea.
No one's mentioned it.
And
That's
I
your
think
solution.
it's great. I do.
That's your solution.
I would be all for that.
No one's mentioned
100%.
it. That's the path I'd be going down.
You do it again. This is your warning. It happens again from anyone. It could be any of the other 22 other players or 21 other players. You're going to get done.
What other rule do they do the warning with? 666.
Yeah.
Give you a warning.
Very nice rule.
Happens again. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Happens again. See you later. You get a free kick paid against you. Simple as that. So I'm big on this. I understand you have to protect players because of grassroots level, and people saying body cams maybe need to be introduced as well. I think that's too far.
Yeah,
I think that's
agree
way
with
too
that.
far.
I don't think we're there yet, considering all the AI that's around. We're not there yet.
I know we're going to have robot umpires soon.
Yeah.
So,
well, here's the thing with me with this dissent rule, right? I do think the call that was made on Steve Coniglio and the GW and Great Western Sydney was wrong.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Yep.
I the reason why I think it's wrong is because there wasn't a level of consistency shown across the whole week and in the previous weeks too.
Yep.
Right. But what I do refute about that whole scenario is the fact that it helped Carlton win the game or that it aided their thing. Well, it is rubbish. It has been published. If you want me to bring it up, I'm more than happy to. There was 11 minutes to go when that decision was actually made.
Yes.
Right. Now, I don't think that aided or abetted or helped Carlton win the actual game. Right. They had 11 minutes. GWS had 11 minutes to actually win the game.
Get on with it.
Correct. Right. So the point I'm trying to make is are we going to keep up this sort of energy when an incorrect hole in the ball decision's made in the goal square and it changes the game? Are we going to keep that same energy up?
Of course not.
Right? Because
it's in lights.
We're all making a big deal out of it, out of how it affected the game. I completely refute that. I don't think it affected the game. I do think the decision was wrong.
Yes.
And I think there does need to be some form of common ground here where the coaches or the clubs as well, not just coaches and players, the whole clubs can understand and go, right, if we cross this line, these are the consequences. We have to live with it. We need to be professional. We need to be adults. There's nothing wrong with showing emotion. It is human nature. It's in our nature to actually do that.
Correct.
But I think... Yeah, I think there needs to be some form of common ground regarding it. When we get to that stage, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's my bit on it.
All right, love it. All right, so that's the dissent rule done and dusted between you and I. Now, there's another contentious topic, which it hasn't really done the rounds in, I'll say, mainstream, traditional media, I don't think.
No, I'll touch on why it hasn't.
Now, injury announcements and the way that they are announced at AFL clubs and to the AFL and to the wider AFL public.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not happy about it at all.
Okay.
I'm very irate about it, if I'm being completely honest. So just to give you an example, prior to the GWS and Carlton game, Matt Kennedy was announced out at selection. Now, the injury reports, which I watch very closely, get released on a Tuesday, usually, as a general rule. There was no mention of his injury or little niggle that in that report.
Yes.
Got to Thursday morning, roughly 10 or 11 a.m. Michael Voss has a press conference at Carlton Training, which is obviously one of their last sessions before the game. No mention whatsoever about it. Then we get to selection on Thursday at 5 p.m. and we realise that Matt Kennedy's out. Now, is it so hard to be transparent and open with your stakeholders and alert them to these sort of things? I don't care what hand he wipes his ass with. I don't care what hand he blows his nose with, right? I don't care what he does in his personal life. But when it comes to football injuries and whether he's going to be available, I do care.
Yeah.
I do care. Now, just to give you a contrasting reference.
Yes.
Last Monday, Tuesday, Richmond were very open and transparent with the fact that, look, Dustin Martin and Jacob Hopper are potential. They're going to be tests.
Correct.
Prior to the injury report getting released.
Yes.
Right? Consequently, both of those players did not play against Collingwood. However, the open and the transparency that they provided to their stakeholders, to their members, to their fans, to the AFL community was very, very diligent. Yeah. Right? And if we don't, and this is the thing, we start getting involved in all these integrity issues. Right. Okay. Like when do we start questioning the fact of clubs misleading their actual supporters? Yeah. Because it is misleading. I don't want to call them liars. It is misleading. Yeah. You know,
it's a white lie.
It's a white lie, right? Like you know, we look as a fan. I understand that the club,
of course,
is going to have a bad performance. I understand that players are going to have bad performance. I understand they're going to do things that make us upset and that make us happy. But under no circumstance do they have my permission or in my opinion, any AFL fans' permission to mislead us.
Yes.
That is completely wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. North Melbourne, they versed Hawthorn in Tasmania.
Well, explain this because this is a big integrity issue.
I'm massive on watching markets and you know, sort of involved in that sort of space,
betting odds and all that
sort of stuff.
So explain this because listeners won't know about this.
They won't know about this, right? Because it doesn't get publicised.
Correct.
But on the Friday leading up to that match on a Saturday, right? There was money matched on an exchange, which I'm not going to name.
Yes.
That had a lot more volume for that game as opposed to the Richmond and Collingwood game, which was on the Friday.
So just think about that. A game in Tasmania.
24 hours.
Between Hawthorn and North Melbourne.
Correct.
Two teams who are, Hawthorn down the bottom of the table, North Melbourne, not
it's
really
certainly going to attract a lot of interest in terms of the whole betting space. It's going to attract a lot of interest.
Of course, but to be more than Collingwood and Richmond,
that's
a big
pretty
thing.
astonishing. And I knew I could see that. I sort of smelt a rat with that. And leading up to that game on Saturday morning, I kept my eyes on those markets, and North Melbourne just
drifted out.
They just went for a
odds
bar.
blew out.
It was almost as if, how do I put it? I'm just going to say, it was almost as if someone knew something. Now, I understand we're in an industry where certain people are privy to information that others aren't. I'm in the horse racing industry. I understand that. I get it. But the integrity issues and the transparency with your supporters, like Luke Davies-Uniacke did not have calf soreness 10 minutes before the game. He did not. And you can't change my mind. He didn't. In no world did he have calf soreness 10 minutes before the game.
Yeah.
He had calf soreness leading up to that game, but that was not announced. However, someone knew something, as they always do. Hashtag, as they always say, they knew.
Yeah, they knew. Correct.
Right? So, look, I just want some more communication and transparency from clubs to who I think are the most important people at that club, aside from the players and the workers, is their fans.
100%.
And I don't think anyone in the AFL community questions it.
Yep.
And as I said, it makes me very angry to an extent. That's what I have to say.
So do they have to go down just to elaborate on it before we get off it, NBA and NFL,
massive on it.
They are required to, as soon as it happens, it's straight on the injury report.
Well, the transparency and the communication is there.
Okay.
If this player is available, they will tell you on that day he's not available. Or they will say he's a test.
Yeah.
I have no issue with Carlton or North Melbourne on the Tuesday leading up to their game saying, look, these players are going to be tests.
Yep.
Neither of them did that.
Yep.
And that is so wrong. It's misleading.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it. I don't want to classify it as a lie.
Yeah.
It's misleading.
Yeah.
And we're in 2023. Like, can we not? Is it so hard to be honest with your supporters? Fair enough. You may not want the backlash. Take the hit. At least your fans will know. Right, they're being honest because you know the questions that I raise now. What else are they not telling us?
That's the big question
my problem.
too. Exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Good. Love that. All right. Let's go to some on-field stuff.
Yeah.
I reckon we give the Saints a bit of love.
This
week. Ross the boss, 3-0. They were very good against Essendon.
They were. Watch that.
I don't think you can't underestimate how well they're going, just given the injury plight at the club. And we're talking key position.
We're talking high profile players
look,
for that specific team.
Max King, he's still young.
Yep.
He's not a fully fledged, genuine, bona fide absolute star.
But he's important to their structure.
Member is important to their structure. You know, Mason Wood hurt his shoulder as well on the weekend. He might only miss a week or two. He might even play this week. They're saying as well. Jones,
I could go on. We could go on.
We could go on.
We could seriously go on forever. But
Ross the boss.
Yeah, I just think St Kilda at the moment. I think Ross Lyon's mantra is effort and hard running, and currently as it stands,
he's so good.
They are symbolising that, right? Like, you can guarantee that every Ross Lyon team will work hard for their teammates. They'll run hard. They'll defend their ass off. It's the Ross Lyon way.
Correct.
I know a lot of people speak about, and there is a thing called the Richmond way. There is a Ross Lyon way.
Correct.
Right? And it's definitely, look, they're best in the competition, moving the ball forward. The how is actually interesting. Now, this is according to Daniel Hoyne off SEN. This is not me, but this is just an excerpt.
Shout out to SEN.
Shout out to SEN. They're not going through the middle. They're actually using the flanks, right? Mm-hmm. And they're number 3 in defending ball movement, and they don't care if you possess the ball.
Yeah.
Like, they're not, like, you can have 20, 30 marks across your halfback and move the ball sideways. They're hard to score against. Yep. Like, and that is, once again, that for me is coaching. That for me is all coaching. Like, this Ross Lyon has a tendency to get the best out of what he has. We talk about that. We talk about that attitude, and it's a common attitude, is that next man up, that mentality.
Correct. Yes.
They
the
are
best teams have.
Yeah, and they at the moment are living proof of it.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting because their next 3 games, they got the Gold Coast this weekend. I think then they're going to probably get. I mean, no disrespect to Gold Coast Suns, but then they're going to get a real test when they verse the Pies, who like to move the ball and who run in waves. And I actually can't wait for that game. That I think is going to be a ripper.
Yeah.
And then they've got Carlton as well. So I think we'll get a good gauge of where St Kilda's at, probably after round 7 or 8. Yep. But look, it's definitely looking up for them, and all their fans and supporters should be very proud of what they're doing. considering the cards that they're playing with.
No, exactly right. Look, they've played in the first couple of weeks. They've played Fremantle, who don't look anything too flash hot, the Western Bulldogs and Essendon. So probably all teams that'll finish, you would think.
But neither of us, if we're being real, neither of us had them 3-0 top of the ladder.
No, not at all. Not at all. So I think they're exceeding expectations at the moment.
100%, A-firm.
I'll tell you which teams are not exceeding expectation. Brisbane and Geelong.
Talk to me about them.
Are they singed? Look, Geelong and said it last week, Geelong can't win the flag.
You actually,
not
before
year.
we go ahead, well done on, you did
tipping the Suns.
You did say the Suns
confidently
were a massive
too.
shout. Good stuff.
When you're not in form early in the season and you have to go up to GC in those muggy conditions, honestly, it's a hellhole. It is a hellhole. And kudos to the Suns. They played it incredibly well over the weekend. I don't think everyone's saying, it's cause for concern. I'm actually going the other way with Geelong. This year, write it off. They can't win the flag. They're done. Can they make the 8? Yes. Still think they can make the 8 from where they
I
are.
agree with that because I do think that with the Cats, right, they do strike me as that team this year that perhaps will sneak into the 8. And I can tell you now, no team will want to burst them.
No.
There's no one in the top 8
Nope.
or if in the bottom half of the 8 that will want to come across the Cats in the finals.
Especially if they get those blokes back that
fit,
are
they
out.
need them
Exactly. And they need a block. They need a month block to get back into it. So they might pick up a game or two in that block and then potentially go on a run. Don't know. But I think they're that type of club where everyone's saying, they're done, everything's over, it's all finished. They know where they're at. Yeah. They're a club that always knows where they're at. They know where their list demographic is at. Got all these aging superstars, and you watch, they'll regenerate, and you watch in 2 or 3, 4 years, they'll be back there again, and everyone will be like, God, how'd they do it?
I reckon.
How'd they do it?
I agree with that.
Yep.
Right. 2 things. Is Chris Scott going to be that guy? That's a discussion for another day, but it is a question I would like to ask. Secondly, is do you think they saw this coming with the recruitment of Tanner Bruin and Jack Bowes?
Not 0-3. No.
No. As in, do you think they thought that their sliding doors
of course,
moment,
100%.
looking ahead, going, well, look, we know we're sort of coming towards the end of that tether.
Yeah, of course.
So you think that those 2 recruits
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the medium to long-term approach with Geelong. But that's always been the case.
Yeah.
That's always been the case. Mate, they've done it. They did it last year. Not to say that they didn't want to do it this year again, but you kind of know deep down inside you've got all these aging superstars who provide, it's the Pareto principle. 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people, right? Yep. And when a bit of that 20% goes, Salwood, Hawkins is not playing the best at the moment as well. You can tell he's carrying something. Dangerfield, what's his motivation now? He's got his flag.
Well, I'll tell you what his motivation is. His reputation is slightly getting tarnished as a captain.
Well, all that as well. Yeah, that's big too.
He doesn't strike me as a guy who doesn't care about his reputation.
Correct. Well, yeah, a lot of fig jam about him, just quietly, and that's okay.
A lot of the best.
That's
fine.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. So look, Geelong. Everyone's saying they cook their stuff. For this season, yes, but. In the whole grand scheme of things, they're a proud club.
Well, they are at the moment. Just quickly, like they are last in effective kicks and they're last in clearances. Some of that might be down to personnel. Some of that might be down to mentality. I think I'm of the belief that the majority of that is down to mentality.
Correct.
For obvious reasons, but yeah,
you see to the eye test, you can see they've dropped off.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the eye test
and the numbers back it up.
Correct. That's exactly. Your eyes can sometimes lie, but when the numbers back it up too, again, cause for concern in the short term, but long term, I think they'll be fine. I'll tell you who's, mate, Brisbane. Oh, God, mate. Dearie me. What do you say about this club?
Mate, they literally make me want to fall asleep.
I'll tell you, genuinely,
my God.
That game on the weekend against Footscray, that Thursday night, you had the Bulldogs
Bulldogs had a point to prove. We spoke about this 7 days ago. They had a point to prove.
They did have a point to prove, but they were there for the taking, mate.
Yeah, I know.
Bulldogs didn't play that well.
No, I agree.
I agree. It was like the lesser of two evils in that game. Brisbane
very good way.
They were shocking.
Yeah,
Joe Danaher, McCarthy, Cameron, Hipwood was okay.
Just quickly, you're mentioning those forwards. The tall forwards are getting a lot of slack. I can tell you now that the small forwards are just as much to blame.
Of course.
They've dropped off too.
Of course. Right? I agree.
But
Daniel Rich out for them was big.
Yeah.
Right. But
sure.
would he have alleviated any of those problems on the week on Thursday night? Maybe. I don't know. And there was always that bit of a stench that they might be the milk drinkers. They got to the prelim. They had a Gabba grand final.
Well, you know, I've been successfully laying Brisbane for the last 3 or 4 years. Like they've anyone who wanted to back Brisbane, they could come bet with me. I
reckon,
I haven't rated in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I reckon you can open your
shoulders up now.
Suitcase up and open your shoulders up and take even more bets. I reckon just quietly they were shocking. But when I get into my tips, you'll kind of see. Yep. You'll kind of see that I might have gone the other way, but it's only one game. It's only one game. Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
But it is important just for our audience to realise is even though like we do speak these things about certain clubs,
yes,
it's situational and football changes week to week.
Always.
You need to take each game on its merit. Just because a team played bad last week, they may match up differently. Onto the next week.
Correct.
So,
correct. Circumstances change.
Absolutely.
Just before we get on to, I want to mention some unsung heroes of the AFL, but just before we do, in one word, yes or no, Blake Acres suspension, right or wrong? Yes or no? Actually, no.
Suspension
were you
upheld?
Let me rephrase the question. Let me pose another question.
The suspension or it being upheld?
Blake Acres being suspended. Are you surprised? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. Unsung heroes of the AFL.
Talk to me.
Now, people know I'm a Carlton man, and this is not me harping over the Blues or anything, but Nick Newman was sensational on the weekend against GWS.
You can give him his flowers.
Yeah, he destroyed Toby Green.
He did.
Smashed him.
Put him in a spliff.
Yeah, he did. He did. Wrapped him up and smoked him. His first 3 rounds have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Sensational. I actually think
Why don't you run through them? Round 1, Dusty.
Yeah, round 1, Dusty. Round 2, who did he play on round 2? Geelong. It was a mixture of a
Rowan?
few. Played a little bit on Rowan.
Yep.
He swapped a bit with Stengel. Sard got off the chain there with Stengel. They were all sort of looking after each other in that game. And then that game against Green was just phenomenal.
I agree.
I think he's been Carlton's
one of their best
players in the first 3 weeks. I think the most consistent player. And one of the most influential players in the first 3 weeks. I think he's been fantastic. Rebound 50s have been elite. His disposal has been fantastic, upwards of 80% disposal efficiency. He's a beautiful user of the ball. Rarely
and he's
gets
calm and
one-on-one.
collected.
He's ever.
Very calm.
Under
when
pressure
he has the
too.
Ball, he's calm.
And that's what the best players are.
I mean, he's 30, 31?
29.
29,
I think,
okay.
yeah. So
okay.
not young.
He has, but that experience shows.
Yeah. So I was really, really pleased with his game. The other bloke, and he is being spoken about, but Mason Wood.
Yeah.
What a revolution. He's been unbelievable. And this is the argument too, is that players who may have not played well at a certain club, right? And people say, now North Melbourne have lost out. Why they get rid of him? Why they...
Dare I say, sorry to cut you off, I say, I think a lot of what Mason Wood's doing comes down to one thing and one person.
Ross
Lyon.
Ross the boss. Yeah. Defined roles.
We keep mentioning this guy.
No, it's true. But it's true.
We keep mentioning him, but he deserves a lot of credit.
It's true. It's funny. You're saying St Kilda are playing with width, and it's no shock that Mason Wood's numbers are,
of course,
career best at the moment.
Flanks.
Exactly. So defined roles, know your role. As The Rock said, know your role, shut your mouth. It's as simple as that. So those are my unsung heroes for.
I want to speak about Dylan Moore too from the Hawks.
Oh yes, Dylan Moore as well.
Played 50-odd games and he's the vice captain.
I've got him in my super coach. He's a star.
He's a very good player.
This kid's a champion. Mate.
Yeah, he's a very good player.
He's a champion. Don't worry about the Hawks.
I'm not.
Mate, trust me. They
know what they're doing.
They need to get the board. They're going to get that stable. That's eventually going to sort itself out.
Yep.
Sammy Mitchell.
So for all our Hawks viewers, we got a good friend who's a mad Hawthorn supporter.
This bloke, I can tell you now.
Tell him something.
He's not looking for one premiership. He's looking for another dynasty. And if you're a young man and a young coach and a young manager coming into a club like that, and putting that as your mantra, and that as your that's going to be your main driving factor. That's your North Star. No wonder they've got him there. And there were huge raps, and he was one of the main reasons West Coast won that flag in 2018.
He was an assistant coach there, wasn't he?
A lot was contributed to him because he walked in there, and a lot of people tipped West Coast to finish down the. I know Robert Walls had him to win the Wooden Spoon that season.
West Coast.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, and the midfield group didn't really. They were like, and Sam Mitchell just walked in there and
started
to paraphrase,
pointing fingers, mate.
he said no, and he just said he goes,
He's calling the shots.
He goes, we're here to win the premiership, mate.
Yeah, I love it.
What are we here for?
He does look like a bloke who's driven.
Don't mess around with him,
He's got that silent killer look about him.
Oh yeah. The side eye. That's the side eye. Yeah, no, don't mess around with him. But Dylan Moore.
Like him a lot.
Love him. He's a genuine champion, and I think he's going to lead that. I think he's going to lead that club a long way. I wouldn't be too worried.
Along with Sis. Let's give James
exactly.
Sicily some credit too.
Yeah. No,
he's taken on a massive role too. With a young team.
He's a tough bastard.
Sicily's
He's a tough bastard.
He's someone you want to be your captain.
Mate.
You want someone like him leading
going to
you
the
out.
trenches with him.
Oh
mate.
yeah,
he's that type of player. So
agreed.
Hawthorn know where they're at. Don't worry too much about them. Dylan Moore's a star, unsung hero. Doesn't get I don't think he gets enough credit. So I'm sure he does with Hawthorn fans.
Internally, I think he would
and with
too.
Supercoach players, definitely. But yeah, he's a star. Round 4.
Yeah,
let's get on to it. We've got a big Thursday night game.
Big game.
Yes, Brisbane versus
Brisbane
Collingwood.
Wonder if the lights are going to go out.
Well, I don't. Not this
it's
time.
It's going to be another blackout.
Not this time. There's no NRL to veer the media off with. Brisbane Collingwood. We'll start with. We'll go through your tips for the round, mate. Let's go.
This is probably one of, if not the toughest game of the week. So Brisbane has won its last 8 games at the Gabba following a loss. However, it's also important to keep in mind that Collingwood's won their last 14 games as favourites. Earlier in the week, Brisbane were actually $1.90 favourites from memory.
They were,
Collingwood
yes.
were $1.95, marginal
They've
outsiders. Done the flip. And the market has neglected the fact that Collingwood don't have a ruckman. That tells me something. They're clear favourites.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna. You know how big I am on the Pies.
Yes. Yes.
I think they're huge.
Yep.
Depending on what Brisbane we get, this is going to be tight. Look, I'm going to go the Pies.
Yep. Okay.
Clearly, no shock if Brisbane do win.
Yes.
But that's circumstantial and dependent on what Brisbane we actually get.
Yep. That's a fair point. Good Friday football. This is a big one. It's a sellout for those. Good luck to those who got tickets.
Yep.
Well done.
Yeah. So it's North Melbourne and Carlton. Carlton I think should be getting this done.
Yep.
They just an interesting note. They have covered their spread the last 6 games. That's stretching back to. The Melbourne game.
Okay, right. Okay.
So they have covered their last 6 spreads.
They're a punter's pal at the moment for those who back them at the line.
Some would say, look, and once again, I keep referencing the market, but I think it's not always accurate, but it gives you a very good guide. And what's happened is it's absolutely disregarded that Simpkin and LDU are going to play. Mm-hmm. But it also, what that might tell me is obviously Carlton may have some ins, i.e. S. Walsh and M. Kennedy. So we'll wait to see about that. Teams are yet to be released. They'll release tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Correct.
But yeah, yourself?
I'm first 2 rounds on Brisbane. First 2 games Brisbane. I'm tipping Brisbane to bounce back against Collingwood.
Yep.
And I think from a betting proposition, they're actually not a bad bet at just over even money. Carlton by 6 to 8 goals in that game. The next one, Saturday Arvo, Adelaide Oval. This is going to be a cracker. Adelaide versus Fremantle. I'm all over the Crows. I think they'll win.
Yeah?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Yep. I don't really have an opinion here. I did say last week in the showdown, I know Port were favourites, but there was something in me. I mean, I'm not going to say it now, but there was something in me that did make me think that Adelaide would actually turn up, and they did. I think Adelaide are going to be a formidable opponent this year. I don't think they're going to be quite there in the top 8.
Yep.
What I do think is that they're going to give teams a lot of trouble, and I do think they'll be winning on Saturday at the Adelaide Oval against Fremantle.
Love it. Richmond Bulldogs at the G. This is going to be a cracker. Doggies back in form. Richmond get a few back in. I'm with the Tigers at the G.
Tigers.
They get the inclusions.
Do you know in the last 7 matches between these 2 teams, the underdogs covered the spread, which I think currently sits at 13.5. Richmond are 13.5 point favourites.
I think it will be within that.
Yeah,
in that two goal range.
Interesting. I mean, the Bulldogs to me, look, their last couple of games at the G, they haven't really been impressive, and I think Richmond might get back to what we call what the world knows, or the AFL community knows as the Richmond way.
Yes.
And Dusty and Hopper back in.
Yep.
Massive ins.
Huge. They are huge. Another intriguing game. 1st versus 15th. St Kilda plays the Gold Coast Suns at Marvel Stadium on Saturday night. I am tipping an upset here.
Tipping Gold Coast?
I'm going for the Suns.
Yeah, no, I'm going to stick with the Saints.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. I don't know what they were. Don't quote me. $1.30, 3s on, whatever they were. I think Saints are probably bet of the week.
Yep. Sydney, both Sydney and Port Adelaide looking to bounce back off pretty poor performances. Sydney back at the SCG, Port Adelaide. They might give them a little bit of a shake for a little while, but I think Sydney will just be
the power of Sydney, not the power of Port Adelaide.
Not the power of Port.
The power of Sydney might kick in. They're actually going for 10 straight wins at the SCG, the Swans.
There you go.
So they're pretty hard to beat there.
They are
I'll
indeed.
stick with that. I'm going to stick with the Swans too.
Swannies, Essendon and Giants. I think this is going to be a rip snorter.
This will be a very good
Marvel
game.
Stadium, dry deck. Both these teams will look to move it pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking high scoring affair. Bombers in a very, very, very tight one.
Very interesting you say that, Paul. High scoring affair. Crystal baller, our man Paul Sebastiani. Essendon's 3 games this year have all gone overs in the totals.
There we go.
We'll see how we go with that.
There we go. This game looks a fait accompli in favour of the Demons against West Coast. They've got injury concerns and, they were disappointing
Might
against
find
Freo.
something to do on Sunday night.
Yeah. Melbourne all round. And then Easter Monday football returns. Geelong versus Hawthorn. Geelong, for me, and the market is saying that this is going to be one-way traffic, but maybe not.
Hawks did knock them off from memory last year.
This game is always intriguing.
Yeah.
2 proud clubs. They've
Bit
got
of a rivalry,
rich
let's
history.
be honest.
Yeah, huge rivalry. Yeah, rich history. Geelong for me, but I don't think it's going to be a pretty game because they're not humming. Geelong aren't humming, but they'll get the job done.
Do you know what the condition? Do you remember? Do you have any idea?
I can check now for you. I'll tell you what
the average
the
average winning margin.
15 degrees on Monday, but no rain is predicted.
No rain. Okay, that might change. What are we now? Wednesday, Arvo. Yeah, possibly.
Brad Close will definitely have his
long sleeve.
Maybe Grime Myers will as well.
That bloke. Both very, very good players. The average winning margin this game's 32.2 points. And the spread this week, as it stands, is 30.5 Geelong's way. So I think the modelers have got it right.
Okay,
the data modelers have it right. So I don't know which way to go here. I think Geelong will win.
Okay.
The severity of it and in how much of a punishment it's going to be, I'm not sure.
Yep. All right.
We'll wait to see.
Beautiful. All right. So just to go over those again, round 4. So Thursday night, I'm Brisbane to beat Collingwood, Carlton to beat North, Adelaide to beat Fremantle, Richmond to beat the Doggies, Suns to upset the Saints, Swans to beat Port Adelaide, Essendon to beat the Giants, Melbourne to beat the Eagles, and the Cats to win against Hawthorn Easter Monday football. You went with?
Very similar, actually. The Brisbane-Collingwood game, I'm going to sit on the field. I'm going to go Collingwood. Collingwood, Carlton, Adelaide, Richmond, St Kilda, bet of the week, Sydney.
Yep.
I'm going to tip the Bombers in a close one, Melbourne and Geelong.
All right, love it. My bet of the week, I'm going to go with 2. Brisbane.
Doubling up.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 2. Brisbane head-to-head against Collingwood. Carlton at the line. Are we going to have an even billion?
No,
Collingwood?
Brisbane, Collingwood. Oh, what is it? It's a genuine. It's a flip of a coin. No, there isn't any.
All
edge
right,
for
well,
me.
go. Let's go. You said St Kilda bet of the week.
Yeah.
Well, Suns are my upset of the week. So there's our even billion.
You've done it again, mate.
There's our even billion.
I'm getting $2 about $1.30 shot.
Even billion.
All right, mate.
Let's do the
go.
even billion.
Best of luck.
All right, that's weekend grill number 3 done.
Happy Easter.
Subscribe. Happy Easter as
well.
well.
To those who celebrate it.
Correct. Exactly right. Orthodox one soon. Isn't
Next
it?
week.
There we go.
Yep.
So they're a little bit later. But subscribe,
everything.
Follow. What are we? YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok,
all
the
that
lot.
shit.
Like, subscribe, join up.
Appreciate
follow.
the love.
Thank you very much.
Peace.
May your team win on the weekend.
Thanks, guys.